Hello, my name is Chloe, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the current trends within the private sector. My particular focus will be on the wedding industry. I will be giving a brief overview of the sector, for example, how much it is worth to the events industry. Then I will be identifying and critiquing two current trends within the wedding sector. According to Rouse, a private sector is part of the country's economic system that is run by individuals and companies rather than the government. Ruan Alice states that a wedding trend is a noteworthy design element. This is popular at the moment and influences the structure and content of a wedding. A wedding trend is heavily influences the bride's decision and sways the direction in which the wedding industry will go. According to Eventbrite, the event sector is worth 42.3 billion to the UK's economy, and according to Hitched, 10 billion of this is from the wedding sector. However, we don't know how accurate either of these figures are because on both websites it doesn't state how the information was sourced. Beek states that the wedding sector was worth $47.2 billion to the US economy in 2010. However, in 2006, the wedding sector was worth $67.5 billion to the US economy. The significant drop was due to the recession. However, he does state the wedding sector is on the rise again. This shows the wedding sector is a lot more popular in the US than it is in the UK. According to a UK wedding report by Bridebook, we can see the most popular month to get married is summer. The report states that 44% of couples choose to get married at this time. However, this report is not really reliable as there was only 3,000 couples interviewed, which is not a lot considering there was 249,793 weddings in 2016. The first trend I'll be identifying during this presentation is an unplugged wedding. Mintel states that unplugged weddings are on the rise in the UK, USA, and Australia. An unplugged wedding is a wedding that doesn't allow people to use their phones during the ceremony. Mintel states that 42% of respondents said they felt pressured to have an Instagram or Pinterest wedding. The reasoning behind this is to create a more memorable experience and to ensure that all the guests are present during the ceremony. This links to the trend Conscious Consumer from the Global Consumer Trends 2019. According to Butler's model, this trend would still be in the exploration phase, as there hasn't been enough research into the trend to see if it is a booming trend. The Mintel reports don't specify how many couples were interviewed for them to come to a conclusion that an unplugged wedding is a trend, therefore would be classed as an unreliable source. According to a survey done by Bride, 84% of millennials use social media on their wedding day. An unplugged wedding is an aim towards millennial brides. Only 7% of brides are now choosing an unplugged wedding. This survey was carried out on 837 brides, so we don't know how reliable this is. It could also be seen as bias. The next trend I have identified is a DIY wedding. These are on the rise at the moment according to current Mintel reports. A DIY wedding is where the bride and groom organise everything at the wedding themselves. They won't use any photographers or wedding planners. This massively reduces the price of the wedding and makes it more personal and intimate. Bear states that DIY weddings are on the rise due to the expense of a wedding. She states that photography and videography are 100% more expensive than they were in 1999. Bear also states the average spend of a UK wedding is now £26,000, which is why more people are choosing to have a DIY wedding. Bear suggests another reason why DIY weddings are on the rise is because, on average, each wedding emits around 14.5 tonnes of CO2. This is more than 12 tonnes emitted by the average person during a whole year. So, more people are choosing to have DIY weddings with biodegradable products, which makes it better for the environment and reduces the amount of CO2 emitted. According to Butler's model, this trend would still be in the exploration phase as well. Although there is more research about DIY weddings, there isn't really enough to classify it as a booming trend. We don't know the reliability of the sources used, and we don't know how they have come to their conclusions, as not many of the sources state how many couples were interviewed. Both of the trends I have spoken about during this presentation both link to the conscious consumer trend. Unplugged weddings links to this trend because this trend is all about the wedding experience and the bride and groom wanting their guests to be present at the event. It is also about making the day a memorable and special day. DIY weddings also links in with the conscious consumer because more people are becoming aware of the impact what weddings are having on our planet. We are now living in a world where people care about our planet and want to do things to help. Bear states that more couples are considering the environment when planning their weddings. Ruanella states that wedding trends will stay the same within the next 5 years. She said the trends that are most likely to change is the food served at weddings. She states that more weddings will have a wide range of food, for example, food trucks. This will then increase the average spend of a wedding. However, we don't know how true this is, as she only interviewed 50 wedding planners to come to this conclusion. DIY weddings will rise more in the coming future. More people are choosing different lifestyles to save the environment. For example, BBC News states that 360,000 people were vegans in the UK. This was due to lifestyle choices. Cooper states vegetarian food reduces our carbon footprint by 44%. According to a report done by Ibis World, over the next 5 years, the wedding planning industry revenue is expected to contract as more couples opt to plan their own weddings rather than hire industry operators. This backs up the DIY wedding trend. However, we don't know how reliable this source is, as it doesn't state on the report how many couples were interviewed. Goldblatt states future trends which may affect events. In 2020, he states there will be a water crisis. The response to this would be for developed countries to conserve their water, develop improved recycling and purification systems for events. And that draws the presentation to an end. Thank you very much for watching my Petcha Kutcha on wedding trends. I really hope you found it useful and thank you for listening.